Hello once again, and welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action, from Marvel to DC, from Star Trek to Star Wars, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious. We review the theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. This week we review Soul from Pixar, streaming only on Disney+. Yes, I am your host, Doc Broughton, and joining me tonight are Chris Slattery, known as the Slattman. How you doing, Chris?
Oh, great. Fantastic. Living my best life.
Living your best life. I like that. Yes. Also joining us is podcasting rockstar and international cosplay queen, Vanessa Thompson. Vanessa, how you doing?
Good. I want that to be my 2021 mantra, Chris. That was good. I think this movie is going to be good to usher us into that.
Yeah, we're a little late for this one because we did Wonder Woman last week and we're doing this one this week. But Soul came out on Christmas Day on Disney+. One of many films that were on the streaming platforms over the holidays. The streaming platforms, of course, blew up over the holidays. If you've seen some of the reports, they've had some of the highest downloads of all time this past week and weekends. And as we're all searching for things to watch, that the theaters are either shuttered or half open or whatnot. And Soul, of course, was supposed to come out last summer, and then it was going to come out in November, maybe another time in between that. And then finally, like many films, it found its home on Disney+. Did not do the Milan thing where it cost $30 to watch it. It went straight to the streaming platform. It was a smart decision, I think. All right. But we're going to get into this. What we're going to do is our first impressions. Then we're going to talk about the film a little bit. And then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And this is going to be a fun film to do all that with. What are we talking about? We're talking about Soul from Disney Pixar. Yes. It was available, of course, on December 25th, 2020 on Disney+. It is directed by Pete Docter and Kemp Powers, and written by them along with Mike Jones, not Mick Jones, that's somebody else, Mike Jones. Cast includes, and not limited to, Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, Graham Norton, Rachel House, right? Rachel House, Angela Bassett, David Diggs, and Felicia Rashad. Synopsis is: a musician who has lost his passion for music is transported out of his body and must find his way back with the help of an infant soul learning about herself. It's so much deeper than that. So much.
Yes. That's not a great synopsis.
I mean,
it's so much more.
It is on one level, but this film, we're going to get into all this, but this film is hiding so much under that thin layer of a synopsis, and it's going to be great to talk about that. But let's do our first impressions first, and Chris Slattery, we always start off with you. Did you see me catch up with that stumble? That's I almost fell down, but I kind of caught myself, did a cartwheel, and stood back up. All right, Slatman, what is your first impressions of Soul?
It's fantastic. I really think that if it had been released in theaters, we could probably be talking about a Best Picture nominee and maybe even potential winner compared to the rest of the movies we've seen in 2020.
Very much so, yeah. It
nails everything. The performances, the voice acting is spectacular. The animation is awesome. The difference between the soul world and the human world is outstanding, and it looks so beautiful. And then the writing is amazing. The story is spot on, exactly what we needed for 2021 going into it. And it's probably got some of the best humor that Pixar has ever done.
Yeah, I would say maybe the most adult humor. And I don't mean in an adult way. I mean in a mature way, right? It's still great for kids, but it still has that. This is probably the best animated film for adults that Pixar's put out. I'm jumping the gun here. Vanessa, what was your first impression of Soul?
Everything that Chris said, I agree with. It's just it completely shocked me at how good this is. And all Pixar movies kind of hit that right nerve. They are emotional, they give the right message, they don't feel too childish, it appeals to a broad audience, but this one, it's like they just struck gold with this one. The subject matter, the way it's presented, it's just beautiful to watch. Like Chris was saying, it's absolutely beautiful and surprising. Mature is a good way to describe it, because you get similar stories of appreciating life and looking beyond your nose, right? Seeing what's out there in the world. Pixar does that, but this one just it struck a different chord, if you will.
I like that.
Very, very, very good.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I went into this eager to watch it. I thought the trailers looked great, and I really didn't grasp from the trailers what the message of the movie would end up being. And I will also say I didn't grasp what the message of this movie was probably for the first half of the film. And I will admit that left me wondering about it at first. I was a little uneasy at first whether I was going to enjoy this film. I mean, it was stylistically, it's great. It was written well and all that stuff. It just didn't grab me as much as the latter half of the film did. And we'll talk about that during our when we go over the entire film. I mean, but yeah, let's just jump there. When the second half hit, I was just sucked right into it, and everything started to come together, right? All the themes that they were laying around with this side story and that side story and this side story, they all wove together, and it just strike the right chord? Oh my God, you aren't kidding. It's a heartstring, and it just grabs onto it, and it's all about human nature and human beings, and that age-old question, why are we here? And it really is. It's deep, and it's deeper than you would expect. An animated kids movie, for lack of a better way to describe it, to be, and it really meant a lot to me. And on top of that, it is probably the best work I think Pixar's done. There's some scenes where they're walking down New York, and then it still looks like, it looks real, but it's not realistic, right? Which is really weird.
Yeah.
But in the best way possible. The artistry in it just looks like these real things walking around, but they look like living cartoons. I don't know how to. I'm not doing my description justice, but
it's like they brought the animation to life for a moment. You
right.
know, it's very magical.
Yeah, so the whole thing just absolutely won me over, and there might have been some tears at the end.
I think I cried more at the other Pixar movie with Onward this year. I think that one hit me in the tear, like the cry way.
Aww.
But this one hit me in the deep down inside, like
yeah,
like I don't know a good way to. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's appropriate title. You think the way it's presented is about the love for music and whatnot, but it's really, that's actually a big part of it, but it's actually so much richer. It's richer about imagination and creativity and how you look at yourself, how you look at others. It's just all these things, and it's so much, but it's not overwhelming. It's not preachy, right? It's done. It's written in such a way that you're just absorbed into this world that Joe, our lead, is in, and then of course 22, the little life that he meets, that he's brings down to earth, and the way they open their eyes through each other. The relationship they have in this movie is so very special and so wonderful.
Yeah, Tina Fey and Jamie Foxx together are magical. They played off of each other so well, and they're just, I think we have two comedic powerhouses, and you can see the craft between them in this. It's so great. And Tina Fey does such a good job of being wide-eyed the whole time. While Jamie Foxx, he has that same kind of that spark in him about music, but it's kind of faded. And to see that the way they work that together is it's so cool. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to get into the story just a little bit. If you saw the trailers, Joe, this is no spoilers, but Joe gets a opportunity of a lifetime only to fall down a manhole and find himself on the pathway to the pearly gates, not ready to go. And
a giant bug zapper in the sky.
And then finds his way back with the young spirit 22 that's coming to Earth for the first time. Has resisted coming down. And spoilers, this is a slight spoilers. When they do make it, she goes into his body and he goes into the cat. And that's the last spoiler I'm going to give. But that is so important for our discussion because that dynamic became so wonderful, so joyful to watch. They play off, cat tropes, but don't take it too far, right? And then they also, any poke that they take at a cat, they take at a human too. And it's, I don't know. There are scenes like in the barbershop that really hit hard with the mom later on, Felicia Rashad. There's just so much going on in this movie that really hits the heart.
Yeah. Well, and Chris touched on it earlier too with the voice acting. We were talking about it before we started recording, and it's just so good. It's so flawless. And they've embodied these characters in such a full and rich way, and you honestly care about them. And to a point where we didn't even know who most of the voice actors were.
Right.
To me, they were so much their character that, I wasn't hearing the human person. I was hearing the person they were presenting me with. And it created some very, very special moments.
Yeah, that's the fun thing with animated films is that, the actors can, get lost in the character with their voice. I only recognize two. We were mentioning that. I recognize Jamie Foxx, of course, and then Felicia Rashad, but I didn't recognize any of the other actors off their voice alone, and was surprised to read down the list and see who they were and trying to figure. Well, there's a whole bunch of people named Jerry, so I was a little lost. But
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
So many Jerrys. But the representation of not the afterlife, but the before life or whatever they call it, or the in the zone area, where it has
in the zone area was awesome.
Yeah, it has the yin and the yang, right? You're in the zone, floating around if you're in the zone, and then of course if you're zoning out in a negative way, you're there too. But you're like these little.
Yeah, not the same experience.
You're right. These grumpy little wart creatures running around, and they're. And I loved how 22. I hate to spit out like one scene, but where 22 like interrupted somebody's zone when she was acting. It's just.
I've been working on this one for years.
Yes, there's just so much fun in this movie. I don't know what made this Slattman different than the previous Pixar film this year or Disney film this year.
I think it might have been the message, really, because you kind of touched on it earlier. Like, it's not clear exactly what the message is going to be until somewhere between halfway and right before it smacks you in the face.
Yeah.
Like it's, and they present it and they like sprinkle like little hints of what the true message is so much. They really do a good job of making you think it's gonna be one thing the whole time, and then by the end it's like it does a complete 180, and it's like, no, what we're saying is what you thought, where you thought the direction this movie was going to go, the obvious way that that the story should go is not the way we're going, and instead we're tying it all together into something even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Much bigger. Yeah.
Much bigger than finding your spark.
No.
Or I guess a better way is to say what truly is the spark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and isn't that wonderful though? I mean, isn't that especially for 2020, the year that we survived, that kind of message is needed even more so than usual.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the things that really stood out to me about this movie was the age of our main character. It really hits close to home when you have a character that's middle-aged, that's struggling, that has a passion and is good at something, but just has never really, I guess, maybe realized their spark. If we're thinking about it in the context of this, they realize their talent and what they love, but what else were they missing? And I think it's very important to show characters of different ages and of different backgrounds and of different walks of life experiencing things and finding ways within their world to overcome or work through or be better. And I think that juxtaposed the brand new life, the brand new wide-eyed, everything's new, everything's amazing, to the person who's been so focused, driven, and hasn't seen the amazing things in life. It's such a beautiful message. And I don't watch a lot of Pixar movies because I don't want to be all up in my feels. I don't want to. I want to feel nothing. So I get hesitant to watch movies that I know are going to make me feel. And it did, but it's such a good feeling.
I think you kind of, what you said reminded me of going back to the question, Doc, that you asked me. I think what really stands this movie out from all the other ones is relatability. This one, you can, like, looking back at the Pixar movies that hit home the most, for me personally, Toy Story 3 hit home so hard because in real life, I was Andy's age at the time that at the exact time that he was going off to college, right? I was the same age. I had grown up with Toy Story. I was Andy's age when Toy Story first came out. So you can see that one was very relatable to me. And that one sits very high on my scale of Pixar movies that made me weep.
Nice.
But like a lot of the other ones, they have great messages. They have really good, like, morals. They have great stories. Onward's a great example of one where you gotta learn to love what you have rather than seek out what you don't, But this one is so relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we all have that passion. We all have that calling. We all want to know, what is that spark, right? What is that thing? And it quite brilliantly touches on that and gives a very satisfying outcome to it, right?
And we can all see each other we can all see a little bit of ourselves in both Joe and 22.
Oh yeah. Yes. Do you think we're all adults in very ages? Do you think children are going to relate to this like they may onward, or do you
think that they will grow into it?
Yeah.
I think they'll relate to 22 a lot, but I think as they grow old and they watch this one again, it'll smack them in the face.
Yeah, I think 22 is very 22 is very important to make this relatable to kids, and then of course the cat. Yeah. Being the cat makes it fun to watch too.
Well, kids are so much more aware these days and know more of what's going on. So I too question, I was like, is this supposed to be a kid's movie?
Just look at the one kid that's in the movie, the trombone player.
Right.
Yeah, she's 12.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are other 12-year-olds that are in the exact same situation that that kid was in.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's a boon to them to make a product like this that it doesn't necessarily, I don't want to say dumb down because that seems offensive, but it doesn't feel the need to over explain certain things. And I think that's really important and what kept the quality and the heart of this ringing true,
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. All right, so it's time. It's time to wrap things up to give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do, if you are listening to this and you're enjoying what's going on here, one, thank you. Two, hit the subscribe button to help us out. That would be great. It's an easy thing to do. Hit the like button or dislike button. I don't care. Hit the bell to be reminded if you want to find out more. And we'd love your thoughts. What did you think of this film? Did it make you cry? Did it touch you? Did it bring you enlightenment? If you want to spin some signs.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even talk about that character.
Moonwind.
I think it's going to be difficult to pick a scene without going into spoilers. Should we give a spoiler warning?
Let's do that. We're going to have to do spoilers on the scenes because almost all the scenes really ring true or spoiler filled. All right, we'll do that. I think we all love this film. So we're all highly recommending it, but now we're going to go into specifics, which may include spoilers. Slattman, you are up first. What is your final thoughts, your score, and your favorite scene?
This movie is fantastic. This movie could very well be the best picture or the best film to come out in 2020. I think it might be my favorite movie that came out in 2020.
Nice.
So just to get out of the way, the score is going to be a 5, but I have more I want to say. The message is so well done, and I think you said it perfectly just a second ago. They don't smack you in the face and over explain what the message is. They hint at it just enough, and they say, the last line in the movie I think sums it up perfectly. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm just going to live my life to the fullest extent that I can, or something along those lines, right? Like that's a perfect way to summarize like how this movie like makes you feel, and it makes me, and it the message is great, and everything about it, from the humor to the characters to everything, is so well written and so well voice acted, and and it's just I love it. And I've got a cat here that hopefully doesn't have a human inside of it. So I'm having a really hard time coming up with my favorite scene. There's so many good scenes, so I'm going to suggest something. Our favorite comedic moment, and then our favorite heartfelt moment.
Oh no, okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so my favorite comedic moment is the part where the cat is going up the escalator after he goes into the cat's body. And
yes.
And it was just like, what happened to the cat? No.
Oh my god, I love it.
And my favorite heartfelt scene is the scene where Joe's talking to his mom.
Yes.
And we didn't even talk about that character. We didn't even talk about the bandmates. We didn't even talk about my favorite character in the movie, which was the sign twirler guy. I thought he was so funny and so well written, and just I love this movie.
Ah!
5 out of 5.
Your cat sharing the love, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vanessa, you're up next. Your final thoughts, your score, and I guess your favorite 2 moments from the film.
I'm glad I get to pick 2. I agree completely. This is a wonderful, wonderful movie, and they would be very remiss to not give it some award nominations because it absolutely deserves it. It could absolutely be the best picture of the year. It definitely had the best message of the year. It's what we needed to close out 2020. On that kind of note, enter 2021. The voice acting is so good. The music, we didn't talk too much about the music, but it is just woven through this entire movie so beautifully. And the way that they appreciate and talk about and describe jazz and how it's more than just a sound, it's the vibrations in your very soul is so great. So many people need to remember the arts, I think, and I think that's what a lot of Pixar and Disney tries to continue doing. And it's something that needs to be appreciated and needs to be uplifted, and I really, really appreciate that they did this with jazz music and they told this kind of story through this lens. It was just beautiful. I want everybody to see it, please. Absolutely a 5. Absolutely. Even down to the runtime is perfect for me.
There you go.
And we complain a lot about, or maybe not we, I complain a lot about things running too long. But this, it's just absolutely perfect in so many ways. It touches your heart in such a wonderful way. I don't know if I said, but definitely a 5. And let's see, comedic and heartfelt. Oh my gosh,
There's lots to pick from.
I know.
Gosh, I have my heartfelt moment because that's going to tie into my favorite scene that I would have picked previously. But my favorite comedic moment.
There's a lot to pick from.
I know. There's a lot. I think I'm gonna stick where you were though, and say it when they're finding their legs. One of my favorite comedic moments. It just looked so awkward and funny. The cat sliding around on the ground. No, I loved that. But yeah, there's just moments, beautiful little hilarious moments speckled through, and that's because you have the comedic icons at this point, right? They know what they're doing, and the writing is so good. And yeah, so my favorite more sentimental moment is the moment when Joe pulls the memories out of his pocket and then goes into his memories of his life, realizing when he's at the piano getting into the zone, and he's realizing like my life was wonderful, because it was a life. I lived a life so full and rich, and that was just so beautiful, that moment. And I think that was the first moment that brought me to tears when he was playing with his dad. I'm gonna cry now because I just watched it. Seeing him play with his dad was just so special because they talk about him and they talk about his love for music, but they don't really say what has happened. And so seeing him in his old age with playing the piano for his dad was very nice.
Very nice indeed. All right, yeah, I'm just going to concur. This movie is quite easily the best animated film of the year. It should get nominated. It's going to be an interesting year because this would have been in the theaters had it been allowed to, and the awards season is kind of racked to figure out what to do with that. I hope to see this recognized as both animated and, quite honestly, Best Picture. It could easily be, if the Academy Awards do 10, then it damn well better be in there. Like original script, story, whatever. Yeah, I mean, this is such a well-crafted, surprising story, and like you said, so well voice acted. It really, the chemistry vocally between the characters, bringing these characters to life in rich and funny ways. and then of course the animation itself is.
Mm.
I really was struck on how strong it was, right?
Oh, it was a cat. Okay.
Yes. how strong the animation was. It was so. It was like beyond animation. It was really, really great. Really just fantastic.
Would you say it felt like an alive world?
It did. I mean, you just think, you look at the Pixar films and, they've always been after that. And I think this is the first time that it really struck me. I've always been amazed by it, right? And, how wonderful the animation is, because it's there's a signature Pixar feel to it, right? To their films. And this just really is for me, out of the blue, just totally beyond everything else. I guess I gotta give it a 5 as well. I was thinking maybe 4.75, but no, that would be a disservice. It deserves a 5. It is quite a wonderful film and a great experience. My favorite dramatic and favorite comedic scene, right? The comedic scene is going to be with 22, because the way they gave that character depth was usually through some humor. And when they were in the zone world and she knocks the actress in the head and she goes, line! It just, I don't know why that, out of all that, struck me as so funny, but I just thought, there's a little dig at a basketball team later that's funny too, but that one just felt, like we've all been there, right? Where you're in the zone and, oh God, I fell out of the zone. You don't know why, but it was all 22's fault. You just didn't know it. But there's so many other ones from, it's usually involving the cat. My favorite scene, and also the favorite emotional scene, is the barbershop. When there's this great scene where 22 in Joe's body kind of starts to learn about things, right? Starts to kind of get used to everything and realize, through the chair, the power that she has in herself, right? And being here on Earth. And other people and stuff. There's so much going on. That scene is so layered. But there's also this relationship that had been there between Joe and the barber. And when they leave, they ask about, why didn't I know all that stuff about you? And you never asked. And the cat, which is Joe's and the cat, and the cat's just, the eyes of the cat are just realizing, that never happened, and that interaction, and he sees a whole different life. You could tell he loved and cared for this character. They had a special relationship as a friend, and it was just this heartwarming reaction from this silly little animated cat that I just really, really felt, really like that.
Yeah, that was a great moment. So good. And another one of those, like we've been saying, this kind of builds upon different building blocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole movie does. And that's just one of those building blocks they stuck in there, that little lesson to build on all the other lessons.
And I loved the reactions of the guys in the barbershop too.
Oh, for multiple different types, like from the story he's telling to the dig he gets.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that poor guy at the door. It was just like, oh, you cut deep, Joe.
I laughed so hard at
that. That whole scene I think that's when the movie came to, I was enjoying the film as soon as we really got to 22. 22 really made the film spark for me. But when they got down to being the cat and Joe again, but it was that scene particularly that really I started to kind of zone in, if you will, on what the film was about. And but not soon after that, you get to the mom and get the suit right and everything, and oh my gosh.
Hmm.
And then the scene with the little helicopter seed
Ah,
pod.
Oh, I
who
know.
knew that a little seed pod would mean so much, right?
Hmm.
You'll see. You'll see.
Please
right.
do. Please do.
All right. Well, there you go. There's our review, our heartfelt review of Soul. We hope you have watched the film and enjoy it, and we thank you for hanging out with us. Chris, Vanessa, thank you for joining me tonight. This was a joy to discuss, for sure.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so glad we decided to still cover it.
Yes, yes. Let's say good night.
Night.
Good night.